Hello guys and welcome to another AudioArt video. The last long video I've posted was 6 months ago. And no, I didn't forget my YouTube password. I just stopped drawing for 4 months. In this video, I will explain why I took this long break from art and YouTube, and I will show you also the drawing I made when I finally started drawing again after that long hiatus. In the meantime, I will also talk a little bit about why we artists sometimes find ourselves facing these blocks, and I will also share some strategies that I personally use in these situations to get past the block and start drawing again. Each of us is different and different things work for different people, so obviously I won't give you any foolproof solutions, if only I had some. But I will share with you some ideas that might help someone in the same situation, so grab a cup of tea or coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into this video. Let's start from the beginning, with the reason why I stopped drawing. There can be many reasons why an artist goes through a period of creative block: perfectionism, excessive self-criticism, imposter syndrome, pressure to replicate past success, burnout, lack of sleep, lack of inspiration and boredom, looming deadlines, or simply feeling paralyzed by too many possible choices. We can't decide which one to pursue, so we don't even start drawing. In my case, the reason was simply life. If you have been following me for a while, you probably know that I do a lot of things. I study astrophysics at university, I work as a server at a Japanese restaurant, I train for marathons, I study music and play electric guitar, and of course my greatest passions are art and manga. Since I do so many things, every now and then I find myself with unavoidable commitments and deadlines, and I am forced to put some of my regular activities on hold. If I have priority deadlines, I prefer to avoid drawing because otherwise I would have an hard time focusing on what I need to do. If I were to start a drawing or an artistic project in general, for example, my passion for drawing would lead me to think about it even while I'm doing other things, whether it's studying or working, and I would struggle to meet my commitments. For that reason, I prefer to put my artistic activities on hold and do what I need to do until that period is over. The problem is that things often take longer than expected, and a 1-week break turns into 2, then 3, then a month, then 2 months, and before I even realize it, a lot of time has passed. As time goes on, of course, getting back into drawing becomes increasingly difficult. You gradually drift away from it and lose the habit. Art in general, whether it's drawing, music or something else, requires consistency. You have to get into the habit of doing those things often, training your mind to that kind of activity so the process feels as natural and effortless as possible. Technically speaking, you don't actually lose much even after a long break, so from that standpoint, there's no need to worry. If you have a certain level of technical skill, acquired through years of practice and study, all you need to do after a break is brush it up. You don't have to start from scratch. The real difference lies on a mental level though. A prolonged break from artistic activity always makes it harder to get back into it because your motivation wanes. You feel less capable of doing things that used to come naturally to you, so you have to work on the mental aspect and get used to a certain artistic routine again. This applies both to professionals and amateurs. It's just how human beings in general work. At this point, we'll talk about how I started drawing again and about this drawing. This way, I will also give you a little context to help you understand it. Later, I will share a few more tips for getting past a creative block, so stay tuned. In the meantime, if you have made this far, thank you so much. And please remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet and leave a like if you're enjoying this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the topic at hand. So, I am the kind of person who needs pressure to get things done. I need challenges or deadlines to get me started on a project. Once I am in the zone, I keep going without stopping, but at the beginning I really needed that push to perform well. I know myself very well, and for that reason I decided to set myself a challenge for this drawing. Since I would like to work on the expressiveness of my characters, because one day I would love to create a comic, I decided to imagine a face in a specific context and the expression on that face, and then try to convey it on paper without any references. I imagined a wrestler, a fighter who, exhausted after a grueling match, sees a fatal blow coming that he can't block. On the wrestler's already menacing face, there had to be an expression halfway between astonishment and fear. It's a rather difficult expression to capture because it encompasses several elements and emotions. Now that I think about it, it's a bit like how I was feeling at the time, as if I were struggling to study and resist the urge to draw, but was on the verge of losing that battle. In any case, the challenge was fun, and honestly, I don't know if I managed to convey what I wanted with this piece, but whether it's a success or a failure, that's okay. It's certainly not the most beautiful or the most complex piece I have ever done, but it doesn't have to be. This drawing doesn't have to be amazing or perfect, it just has to be finished, and it has to reignite my hunger for art, my desire to pick up a sheet of paper and just draw. That desire is always inside me, but at times like this, after a long hiatus, I have to bring it up from deep within, as if it had been sleeping somewhere inside me. If I'd tried to do an extremely complex or lengthy drawing like the ones I'm showing you here, I probably wouldn't have even started, or at least I wouldn't have finished the piece. It would have been frustrating and might have pushed me even farther away from drawing. This is very important actually for overcoming a creative block. First, accept a piece as it is without feeling you need to surpass past achievements, and then don't expect too much from yourself. Just start slowly. It's better to start again with something small and manageable, something that doesn't feel like an insurmountable wall, and then gradually move on to more complex projects once your inspiration returns. That's exactly the key, being patient with yourself and accepting that the rehabilitation process takes time. You have to accept the initial frustration, keep moving forward, and rest assured that your passion will eventually be rekindled. Creating art is essential for us. Passion doesn't just disappear. A genuine passion never vanishes completely. At most, it might fade for a while or even a few years maybe, but the desire to draw will return sooner or later. We artists are a strange breed. We tend to rarely appreciate our own work and to be very self-critical. This often leads us to feel discouraged, and as a result our motivation wanes. Certainly, the constant comparison with others that we experience on social media doesn't help at all. Social media is full of incredibly talented people and everything seems easy and fast, as if nothing requires any effort. And the worst part of this is that even though we perfectly know that the reality isn't like that at all, in our minds the comparison happens anyway. The best thing to do, especially during uninspired periods like this, is to avoid comparing yourself to others and focus only on yourself. Social media creates pressure, and I've found myself several times thinking about drawing more to produce content, whether for Instagram or YouTube, rather than for the sheer pleasure of doing it. Social media requires consistency and puts pressure on you. You have to create and post content, otherwise your followers will drop and engagement will decline overall. I realized this firsthand because in 3 months without posting videos here on YouTube, I lost about 120 subscribers. In the end, though, we have to ask ourselves, why do we draw? To get likes, to get views, or because we absolutely love doing it? We love creating from nothing and watching a blank sheet of paper turning into art. Personally, I love drawing so much. It brings me joy to create, to shape something of my own from scratch, to put one line after another until the piece is finished, whether it's a tiny design for a keychain or a full illustration that takes 20 hours. In recent years, unfortunately, I've often found myself thinking that every drawing had to become content. If I didn't have the chance to set up a camera and record a video of the process, I wouldn't draw at all. I felt like I was missing an opportunity to post something, as if the drawing had no other purpose than to lead me to publish content. This is one of the problems with YouTube, honestly, and it's why I generally advise against starting a channel. But if you are interested, I can go into more detail in another video. Now that we are nearing the end of the video, as promised, I will give you some ideas for overcoming periods of creative block. What has really helped me in this regard is a sketchbook. My first piece of advice is definitely to get one where you can draw freely without worrying about having to post anything or create something spectacular. Whenever you want, wherever you are, you can grab a pencil and draw in your sketchbook. You have your own personal space to let off steam without any pressure. The second tip is to doodle. When I'm short on ideas and I can't find inspiration, I just start doodling directly with ink without thinking. I go with my instincts. This helps overcome decision paralysis, avoiding getting stuck, and at the same time it helps you regain some technique and manual dexterity after a break. The third tip is to look for inspiration in every possible place and format. Personally, whenever I'm looking for inspiration, I flip through my art books, I watch Studio Ghibli films or anime that I love in general, I go back to reading manga by authors that I particularly like Boichi for example, or go on Instagram to look at the works I've saved by artists I admire. Each of these things always sparks something inside me, it ignites my passion. My final tip is to set yourself a challenge. For example, drawing for 10 or 15 minutes a day for a certain period, or doing a set of number of quick portraits, or even trying a Draw This in Your Style challenge. Any challenge can push us to draw and motivate us by helping us reach small goals one at a time. At this point, we have truly reached the end of the video and the end of the drawing. As you saw, at the end I decided to add some grey to give it depth and some red in the background to make the face stand out more, even though I practically never use color in the sketchbook. I hope you enjoyed the video and drawing, and thank you so much for sticking with me this far. I would really love to hear from you in the comments, so let me know if you are going through something like this right now, or if you have been through it in the past, and if so, tell me what strategies worked for you. This is the final result. Thank you again very much guys, and see you on the next video.
Goodbye!